from a Hello everyone, you're very welcome, and I'm going to have to scoot in a little bit closer to you there, Deirdre. I'm sorry, I have to rotate the phone. So you're very welcome, and hello to everybody out there. So myself and Deirdre, we know each other quite a while. I've been doing your hair since, well, more than 5 years anyway, isn't it?
Definitely good years ago.
Years and years and years, that's it. So, okay, obviously the program that we're doing, we have 6 weeks of personal training sessions on a Monday evening, free for clients. That's in a closed Zoom group. Last week we had on Mr. Michael Lindsay, life coach, and he's also a gym instructor as well. And I kind of figured that the next most important person we needed to speak to was yourself, right? And I don't think I'm going to really like what you have to say this evening, because I don't like nutrition, Deirdre. I'm not a fan of it, you know, so...
No, we'll try, and I think the problem is with nutrition is sometimes people get overwhelmed by nutrition because there's so much information out there about nutrition and people don't know where to start with it.
I think the cans of Coke and McDonald's is a great place to start, is it not? No.
Well, look, as in, again...
In moderation. Yeah.
But no, I think like the thing with nutrition is sometimes we overcomplicate it, and quite often it's just about bringing it back to basics.
Back to basics. I like the sound of that. No, I mean, bear in mind, I'm conscious, I'm nearly out of shot here, but some people, like, we've got a multitude of people who are going to be watching this.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have people that are, you know, reasonably kind of healthy, who want to step it up a gear.
Yeah.
We're going to have people like myself that need to lose 2 stone, and there's going to be people wanting to lose 5 stone. So obviously your advice kind of has to vary somewhat. So could you give us maybe a few kind of top tips, and I'll try and trip you up along the way, if that's okay.
Of course you will. That's fine. I'm waiting for that.
Yeah. You're prepped.
No, definitely. I suppose this time of year is such a popular time of year for people. They might start thinking about what changes could they make to improve their health, their diet, their lifestyle in general.
And their weight.
Absolutely, weight after Christmas and overindulging.
COVID,
COVID, it's
lockdown.
been a long 18 months, nearly 2 years of
It has did
working from home, you name it, more snacks, more treats. But I think, you know, if we kind of try and just think that, say, you know, take away the fads, take away the gimmicks, and just, you know, bring it right back down to, you know, basics. And often, you know, what I would even try and even think about the approach is, you know, if we're thinking about food, you know, there's no such thing as a good food or a bad food specifically. But I suppose in general, what you see is you have, you know, maybe good diets and not so good diets. And, you know, I think a nice way to look at food is maybe about being more inclusive with it. You know, I'm thinking about, you know, what foods can I add to my diet.
Okay, that's an interesting concept.
As opposed to suddenly being all the time thinking about what foods I should be restricting or excluding from my diet, and you're drawing up these lists of foods that I shouldn't be eating these.
Yeah.
And, you know, it creates maybe a negative attitude
Negative,
around food.
yeah.
And really, at the end of the day, you know, we should be able to enjoy our food, you know, but at the same time, our food should be providing us with all the nourishment that we need. You know, that said, if, you know, you're eating your fruit and vegetables across the week, you're getting plenty of whole grains, you're getting in, you know, good sources of omega-3s, nice quality protein, having 1 or 2 treats in the week is certainly not going to do anything.
So my Cadbury's cream eggs can still be in, Ferrero Rocher,
as
no
long as
bother.
you're doing everything else right, that 80-20 rule I think works quite
Okay,
well, and
so
that's an easy way to look at it.
80%
eat
good,
really well,
and then 20%
gives you a
crap.
bit of leeway for some treats.
Okay. So, say, like, in terms of, like, say, breakfast and stuff, would you give us, you know, kind of, what would, because I think we can kind of get maybe fooled a little bit by some companies, can't we? Because I'm a big fan of, you know, say, like, you know, a whole Alpen, and I think I'm doing brilliant, and then I'm told, like, actually there's probably more sugar in that than, you know, say something else.
I think you'll say, marketing can definitely, you know, it can take us down, let's say, you know, again, more confusion around foods. And,
yes.
You know, food labels can be quite, you know, mind-boggling to understand for a lot of us.
Yeah.
But if you think about something like breakfast, I suppose you just think about, what does breakfast mean? It's breaking the fast. It's about trying to, again, what sort of nutrients do you need to set yourself up for the day. So again, some good quality carbohydrate, something like a whole grain cereal.
Okay.
They're always a good option there. So like something like porridge or oats.
Oh yeah, I like porridge, yeah.
If you're thinking to try and, let's say, get a higher fibre version of a cereal in, so while, let's say, your Alpen, let's say, isn't the worst choice, but again, you can look and see there's Alpens with no added sugar.
That's fucking horrible.
But you can add some fresh fruit then, where you're bringing some colour into your diet then as well. And, again, let's say you'll be getting a little bit of protein in there from your milk. So you're getting what is like a balanced meal. So, and I think that's what, our meals need to be. It's about getting the balance. And again, it's about not overcomplicating that either. I always try to think that if you can get as much colour on your plate as possible, that's really showing that your diet is getting lots of different nutrients. So, you don't really want to see a beige plate of food.
Right.
So avoid beige if possible.
Right.
So, if you're having, say, like that, your porridge, which is definitely a beige food, let's say add in there, some raspberries or strawberries, or you can
and they're pleasant. I mean, even if you're not particularly into
fruit, or you can add in like a little bit of nut butter, or you can add like some dried coconut or dried fruit like raisins. It's like
the choice is endless.
And you could keep going with anything, but just think about colour. It might be just even as simple as add a glass of juice, a small glass of orange juice to your bowl of cereal. That's giving you a bit of colour as well. Think about your sandwich at lunchtime. Try and add lettuce, tomato, again, a bit of colour.
And say with the likes of the breads and stuff, you know how I know years ago there was a kind of fad of like cut out the white, shall we say? Is that still
I think like higher fibre breads are certainly, I suppose, better in that they won't have more fibre in them, so there'll be a health benefit with that. But at the end of the day, a mix of both is absolutely it's fine.
And I mean, I suppose if you cut out the likes of bread completely, if you're trying to lose weight and you cut that out, you're probably going to be starved and end up going to the snacks anyway. So I suppose a balance.
And I suppose that's the thing, like bread is a really good source of carbohydrate, which is an energy food, and we know that organs like our brain require glucose as their only fuel to work. And eliminating foods like the breads, at the end of the day, we miss them because we work them.
Yeah.
And I suppose to stick with the plan like that can be it's very restrictive, and it can be just very difficult. And to, I suppose, to stick with it long term. And while you might see some weakness in the short term, generally you don't find it.
And it's hard to sustain and stick with because you feel like you're punishing yourself
all the time.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's bringing it back to the whole food is there to be enjoyed, not to be making us unhappy.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. I love what you said at the start about what can we add in rather than what we can take out.
And definitely, I suppose, like that adding the colour. The colour is such a simple but such an effective way of doing it. And there's such a variety of fruit and vegetables available in all the supermarkets. And like I always try to, tell patients or clients that, it's work with what's in season, what's on offer.
Yeah.
Every week there's a variety of different
things that
and
are
veg
in or
on a
whatever,
special offer. Go with those. It's not a case of buying loads every week and, something having lovely fruit bowl sitting there and not eating it. And that can often be the case, buying it doesn't give you the benefit of
unless you eat it.
So like that can be, that's something that you say, oh, it's so expensive to healthy. It's actually not if you are just a little bit cute about when you're doing your shopping, like frozen veg are every bit as good for you as your fresh veg.
Okay,
and it can be
that's
really
interesting,
convenient. You can have, let's say, a selection of different frozen veg in the freezer, and you can add those to meals, to bulk out dishes. You can, again, just a time saver. You've been out to work during the day and just come home. Sometimes the idea of peeling a little bit fresh vegetables, it can be a bit, you wouldn't feel like it. So it's always it's a handy backup.
And actually, I was only speaking to one of my team is actually back from maternity leave today. Welcome back, Noran. But we were actually discussing, she was saying about, doing meal prep actually for the week on like the Sunday or whatever. And that can be kind of handy, can't it?
So useful because, and again, like it's planning your meals and then, drawing up a food shopping list from that. So then if you go to your weekly shop, that can actually help with reducing food wastage. And if you have your items all from your shop, when you come home in the evening, the fridge has food in it. So whereas if you're coming home and you're looking into the empty fridge, then you're more inclined to maybe think about going for a takeaway or maybe making a food choice that's not healthy. Whereas if you're organised and that if you have stuff prepped, even better. But if even that, you can still throw together a relatively healthy meal, but in a few months.
Yeah. So again, it doesn't have to, as you say, it doesn't have to break the bank, because I mean, everyone kind of says that, eating healthy is, and you always see the magazines and it's like, the Big Mac or the version is like 99 cents or whatever, and then this healthy version is like 10 euros or whatever. But it doesn't need to be that, once you're a bit cute, then it can be okay.
And like that, and like cooking in bulk is another useful tip as well. So like, if you're making like, a nice, say chicken and vegetable curry, you can do enough of it that you can actually freeze a portion and that's be a cover for you for the following week. And just to make life
easier. Now, it's something that obviously Deirdre's only in like 10 minutes beforehand, so we haven't had a chance to pre-discuss it or whatever, but portion size. I have a lady at home, Hailey's, that literally my plate will feed a fucking army, right? And I grew up, that you ate everything on your plate. You don't leave anything after. That's my mother. If you left something after, you get a clout. Sorry, ma'am. But talk to us about portion sizes.
Yeah, and I think as part of any sort of healthy eating plan, portion sizes are so important because let's say foods are consistent, like a healthy food doesn't mean we can eat as much of them as we would like to. I think nuts are a good example of that, because again, nuts are such a healthy food. They're a really good source of.
They're in for a real rush, as well, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah.
Hazelnut.
Yeah.
There is, like you've got really good source of like essential fats and omega-3s. You've got your vitamin E. They're a good source of protein. They're a source of fiber. But again, nuts actually are quite calorific.
Yes.
You eat a large portion of them. So again, portion sizes, you have to think a little bit about them. So I think a good rule of thumb, if you're looking at, let's say, your plate, I usually say if you think half a plate of colour, so that's your vegetables. So put your veg on your plate first. So,
okay.
And try and
these are really good tips,
have at least 2 colours on your plate.
Okay.
So like one, I suppose, like mantra that I would try to say is like every day have something green. So that can be, could be the lettuce, or spinach in your sandwich, but if not, maybe it's broccoli or peas, on your dinner plate. Then if you think about, let's say, the other half of your plate, so we need to include some carbohydrate food. So that could be some rice, it could be your potato, it could be some pasta, and bread, depends on what you're having. And then the other quarter of your plate for your protein. So that could be some lean meat, chicken, fish, eggs, or meat alternatives, depending on what you're having.
Which is huge at the moment, obviously,
So that's it for a general portion size guide. That model works quite well. Now, obviously, if you're maybe an athlete or you're somebody, you're.
I know I might look like one, from the neck up, but the rest of me no.
But some populations will need to alter that slightly. But in general, that works well for kind of getting your head around it. Or sometimes I think portion sizes of meats can surprise people. And usually we think of the palm of your hand as, let's say, a portion size. So, if you look at, let's say, that's the palm of my hand, and
sorry, I was looking at my whole hand and I was saying, Jesus, not much like palm. Right, okay, it's even worse.
And that's it though, even like, you could say, like, and the thickness of your hand, so that's roughly kind of what you're looking at for an adequate portion of meat, let's say, with your main meal. With fish, we kind of say that you can think about maybe a check as, let's say, a rough kind of portion size guide.
So if you're actually under 20, you haven't a clue because you've never seen check look. Yeah.
Might need to
you should Google that one.
But in general, it's about trying to. I suppose that's what we would do, is that we try to help people understand what is the portion size. For something like your rice or your pasta, usually about the size of your closed fist. That's
Do you hear that, Elise? Yeah, not like a football size. No. Yeah.
And it's like that, and it is interesting. Let's say, like my plate shouldn't be the same as her husband's plate.
Okay.
And that sometimes you as adults we can
That's a
fall
very
into that.
sexist thing to say,
Well, I would say my hands are smaller. So but it's being able to differentiate that, and again, then for children, obviously their portion sizes are smaller. And that's where I think we need to start.
A bit of awareness, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, and thinking about what do we actually need.
And then the next, which brings me on, I suppose I'm obviously talking to you because I'm kind of relating to myself. Obviously, I'm trying to get the benefit over to everybody, but I'm kind of thinking ahead. I'm like, okay, the meal is on the plate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, any hairdressers that are out there are going to identify with this. Take for instance the Christmas dinner, okay? I sit down for Christmas dinner, and within 3 to 4 minutes, my Christmas dinner is hoovered and gone, and most people are they might have actually taken, their first piece of turkey. So what have we got to say about hoovering food?
No, but generally, I think that is very much the culture that we're living in now. It's very much we grab and go, even like we've noticed, with the whole working at home initiative, people are less inclined to, take breaks. They might grab something quickly in the kitchen if they're sitting back down with their computer.
Or walking around, shall we say, between the office and the kitchen or whatever,
Like eating quickly. And, generally what we find is that, let's say, if you are, I suppose, like that, and if you tend to eat very quickly, you tend to eat more, and often, the brain and the gut need to be able to talk to each other, and if you're somebody that's gobbling down very quickly, you actually sometimes, the signals don't transfer from the brain to the gut in time, and you eat more because your brain has time to tell your tummy that you're actually full. And I suppose, and like that, often we find with patients as well, if you do tend to eat very quickly, you actually swallow a lot more air when you eat too fast.
So indigestion.
The digestive problems that can be solved so quickly by eating slower.
Just slow the hell down.
If you're swallowing a lot of air, sometimes that can really contribute to symptoms like bloating and excess gas. And
lovely.
And people will come to you with these problems, and you're saying, okay, and it can be something as simple as bringing it back to that and eating slowly. Like, there's different tips and tricks people say, but a very good one is because you should put down a knife and fork.
Each time.
In between.
Okay, that's interesting.
To help and train yourself.
Yeah.
And there's other tips like, count the number of times you chew.
I think that I've heard that before. That is driving me bonkers.
I couldn't do that myself, or I would be very slow to telling you to do that. But I think if you just putting down the knife and fork, not watching television at the same time that you're eating as well, it can be.
I love Judge Judy when I'm eating my dinner. I'm sorry now, so off the TV,
distracting, so you're just eating because you're distracted, whereas let's say if you're sitting down with somebody and you're having a conversation, it can slow you down because you actually have to speak.
We have to speak to our family now, do we? Okay.
That can
Right, okay.
So it's just about, I think, slowing down, and that actually helps you to relax and you chew your food better, which helps with digestion and actually enjoy the meal more. Well, which brings it all back to that whole enjoying your food. Food is there to
be enjoyed, Because what I often find like that is I'll shovel food in, and once I've eaten, then I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'd murder a Twix now, Whereas if I get a phone call, then or whatever, and then I'm on the phone for 5-10 minutes, and then afterwards Jesus Christ, I can't eat that at all because I'm stuffed. Whereas I'd have actually shoveled that in and then been completely.
But that's definitely your brain and the tummy talking to each other. It's definitely, we're all quite guilty of that too.
Well, if the experts are guilty, I don't feel too bad then, Talk to me about. I'm thinking of just kind of fads that I'm reading about and stuff. Intermittent fasting. Whether it doesn't matter who you are. I suppose the big things are intermittent fasting and going vegan. So
there, I suppose, I suppose the going vegan, veganery is a very popular concept at this time of year as well. And I think there can be sometimes a misapprehension or misconception about going vegan, and that sometimes people just assume it's a healthier option. And while there's certainly plant-based diet that are certainly, good for you. Generally you're going to have really good fibre intake if you're eating a lot of plants. Your vitamins and minerals will be really good, but there's definitely a lot of nutrients that you're at risk of being deficient with. So your protein, let's say zinc, iron, iodine, selenium, vitamin D, your omega-3s, and I suppose the thing is, if you are thinking about doing anything like that, it's really important to do your research and think about why am I doing this, and how is this going to affect me. You are going to have to supplement your diet with those nutrients that I mentioned, and sometimes people don't really realise that, and they just think, oh sure, look, it's fine, but actually your health can suffer. With
like it done right, it can be amazing and great for the planet, and
exactly. And that's the thing, I think before making any big changes like that, it's always a good idea to just plan it, and if needed, get advice off somebody, your
GP, your dietitian, your health professional, whatever.
Just get a little bit of guidance maybe as to where to start from, and plan it, and then it can work quite well. And the intermittent fasting is certainly something that's again a popular trend, and it can actually work very well. The evidence is definitely building for the use of it as a weight loss strategy. But a lot of studies, when they actually look at it, it's not suitable for everybody.
Yes,
and again, depending on if you have other health conditions like diabetes, or if there's any sort of history of maybe disordered eating, or it's really not recommended. And again, I suppose for it to work well, it needs to be done right. And again, I would probably recommend getting, let's say,
professional
advice
advice
to get going with it.
Yes.
And like that, it certainly works for short-term weight loss, but you would need to be able to sustain it. It's a difficult diet actually to sustain in the long term.
Okay.
I don't think I could do it personally, because I wake up ravenous every morning. And,
Yes.
and a lot of, the way people do it is they might delay, eating until 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the day, and then they're trying to get, all their food in, and so, like, again, unless that's done right, sometimes you can, they overdo it with what they're trying to cram in
those
6
6 hours or whatever,
and then they get quite frustrated because maybe they're not seeing the results that they'd
But I suppose there's no point in fasting for 18 but then eating 6,000 calories in the 6 hours.
Believe me, that's what sometimes happens, and then that didn't work. And no, it's just because you just need to, again, these things need to be well researched.
And I suppose, not being smart, but there's a reason why you trained to do what you do, and why you're full time at what you do. You're here to offer advice, but it's very, very basic, generic advice, and it has to be taken as such. That,
but I suppose, and that's the thing, everywhere, as in the right information is out there, and you can absolutely access it. But it's just to make sure that you're going the right way about it. I suppose social media is it can be scary, some of the information that's put out there especially about nutrition, and I suppose it can be so unregulated what's put out there as well, and sometimes I'm thinking, oh my goodness, when I read what clinics are put out there, and say, oh my god. But I suppose it's just important that if anyone does have questions, or do go around the route of looking for a registered dietitian that can actually put you on the right.
I think that's a very, very fair point. In fairness, to Deirdre, what we can do is we can put up any of the core points from today's talk up. If anyone has any kind of questions. Now, obviously, we don't have someone behind the camera, as you would have seen from the start, so neither of us have eyesight to see the phone from here. So if you have any questions, we won't answer them now, but we will come back in the next kind of 24 or 48 hours or whatever. Is there anything else we want to talk about?
I suppose vitamin D is something that's, again, very topical, and it's definitely, I suppose, a nutrient that all of us should be supplementing. And I suppose supplements in general, they can be a whole minefield as well. But I will say that all of us in Ireland, everyone over the age of 4, I think, should be considering taking 10 micrograms of vitamin D.
Okay.
And generally that we would say kind of between October and March. So an easy way to remember it is between Halloween and St. Patrick's Day.
Oh yeah.
Is, let's say,
Yeah.
we should take a daily vitamin D supplement. And again, vitamin D has been linked with our immune system.
Yeah, especially with COVID and all that goes with it, yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of noise at the start of COVID about, patients who had a lower vitamin D didn't do as well.
As well, yeah.
But I think, but the evidence for vitamin D, it's linked to even just like our bone health. Let's say it's linked with cancers. It's such an essential.
Okay, it's a big one to get in there. So.
And unfortunately, we do not get enough sunshine.
Sunshine, yeah.
And we haven't gotten on holidays. So it's a very, I suppose it is an important one.
It's a relevant one.
And it's one that again, that's something that again, if you want to take control of healthy eating habits, that's an easy one that you can take control of. Again, in our diet we get vitamin D from things like our oily fish or fortified milks or dairy products, but we'll probably still
do add in a little bit
for this time of year. Yeah.
Talk to me about, I'm only kind of thinking, trends here. The protein, the protein shakes, the powders, the whey proteins. A lot of I was in a garage shop, I think, coming through Limerick there the other day, and I went in, and they had Dunkin' Donuts, and they had like a whole thing of whey I'm talking a third of the shop.
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus Christ, what's going on here?
Yeah, I suppose, protein is, it's definitely a nutrient, and I suppose again, if you think about maybe like younger audience or younger populations, they're obsessed with, bulking up. Thinking that protein, I need massive amounts of protein. And, we do know from science that the body, we can only actually absorb about 30 grams of protein at any one time.
Right.
So, it's really important to think about, having, let's say, no protein all day long, and then a big serving of protein, like a huge steak with your dinner and evening. Your body isn't going to be able to absorb all of that protein, or you're not going to get that nutritional benefit or big protein hit that you think you're going to get. So it's actually a really nice idea to try and spread your protein out across the day. So not only having some eggs at breakfast, or say milk or yogurt at breakfast time, again having some protein with your lunch, and then some spread it out across the day, and even incorporating some protein into snacks throughout the day as well.
Okay.
Because, snacks aren't treats, and I suppose it's sometimes important.
Okay, tell us more about that now.
Yeah, because snacks can actually be a really important part of your diet in helping you achieve your nutritional requirements. So having, let's say, piece of fruit, that's a snack. And it's providing us with fibre, it's providing us with vitamins and minerals. It's providing us, or even say sometimes having a piece of fruit and a handful of seeds or a handful of nuts. That's a really nice snack because it's your balance is getting a little bit better.
And I suppose it's stopping us hitting that 3 p.m. slump or whatever, 11 o'clock slump or whatever.
Sometimes, to get everything we need in the day, if we're trying to have between 5 and 7 portions of fruit and vegetable,
Jesus Christ, it wouldn't work.
We actually wouldn't need to snack because we just might be too full to get everything in it, just 3 meals in the day. Whereas treats are, I suppose, they taste nice. That's
they do. I can confirm that they really do.
Treats taste nice, and I say that's why I would say it's absolutely fine to have 1 or 2 treats in a week as long as you're having your 8%.
You're going to make me cry now before the end of the interview now, Deirdre. You were going well there for a while. But look, so I suppose really what we're saying, and I was looking at...
I was about bringing back the protein into
Yes.
I got sidetracked there. But one, let's say, interesting thing I suppose about protein is that actually as we get older we need more protein, and not everybody will be aware of that.
Okay.
As we age, let's say kind of over the age of 30, actually we start to lose muscle
Which
mass.
neither of us are there now at the moment.
We start to lose muscle mass, so it's actually really important to include protein, increase our protein as we
I didn't
age.
know that.
So, but again, it's in that strategy of spreading it out across the day as opposed to in the evening. And generally, I suppose, in terms of the powders and all of those products, again, that's a huge market. In general, nobody's deficient in protein in Ireland, thankfully.
Yes.
We can absolutely get enough protein from our diet, usually. So again, it's just about spreading it out and varying the sources of protein that we have, whether that's from dairy foods, it could be from your meat products, nuts, seeds. There's
There's
wheat,
loads
right.
of options,
Yeah, nut butters.
And I suppose always your food is always going to be a better source of whatever
Absolutely,
than a supplement or whatever. And I suppose what I'm really kind of taking from any of this is, moderation being key, a little bit of what you fancy.
Yeah.
Don't kind of, go like completely tunnel vision because you'll end up falling off the wagon.
Yeah, it's about being kind to yourself about it all, as in, and trying to think that like positive changes. So, what can we do?
As you say, what you can add in rather than what you can take away. Yeah, and actually that feeds in really, really well with what Michael was saying to us last week, that rather than kind of having New Year's resolution, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then when you actually slip, you berate yourself and you're the worst fecker in the world, and then you actually go straight into the McDonald's thing. Whereas, like what you were saying, is be kind to yourself. If you do have a little slip, it's not the end of the world. You just nudge yourself back.
Make sure you're eating all the foods that have the nutritional benefit as well.
Yeah, and it's a plan for the year then, rather than I need to lose X amount of pounds in the next 3 weeks, otherwise.
Or I can't have a burger, I can't have cream egg. It's about breaking the negative associations.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way for us to kind of, I suppose, wrap up the whole thing this evening. That if we can just make those moderate kind of changes, and I suppose for maybe people that might have a bigger journey to go on, then
Absolutely.
Get the professional advice.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's say I think that is important. And let's say and it's not that you need to be overthinking it. Just go to a registered professional.
A registered dietitian, because again, a lot of people wouldn't even know that is a thing. I know for you as a professional, you can't believe that. But
and I suppose there can be let's say nutritionists and dietitians, and I suppose a dietitian is a protected title.
Okay.
So you have to be a dietitian, to call yourself a dietitian in Ireland. It's a regulated title now.
Okay.
It's protected. So whereas unfortunately, while you will have some nutritionists that have absolutely excellent qualifications, you might also have some who've just done a weekend course and they can call themselves.
Okay. Yeah.
So I suppose it's unfortunate that it's such an unregulated title.
Yeah.
But again, there's, let's say, we are lucky here in Tree. We definitely, let's say I work with.
We have yourself in the bonds,
In the bonds, and the two girls that I work with in the bonds as well. Let's say, you don't need a doctor to refer you to. You can just pick up the phone and let's say make an appointment yourself.
Okay, so again, you don't have to go through
the
GP and then get the referral letter and blah 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 blah.
Like it's simply take self-referral if there's an issue like that. And it's just about getting, I suppose, or even online. There's good dietitians you can follow online as well that will be putting out the right.
But choose your kind of your source carefully. It's actually the same in our industry, believe it or not. Anybody can actually call themselves a hairdresser, and anybody can actually open up a shop and cut hair, even if they actually haven't even done a weekend course. That's the thing about Ireland, UK. A lot of these things are kind of unregulated, but that's an entirely different conversation for another day. Deirdre, you've been an absolute pleasure to have on this evening. It's been brilliant. Any of the questions, we'll come back and we'll answer, and we will put up kind of maybe some of the kind of key points just in a summary or whatever. And I'll be on, probably we'll be seeing who's actually coming up next week for next Wednesday. It's not confirmed yet, but I'll be on in the next kind of couple of days telling you that. Deirdre, thanks a million, and we'll talk again soon.
That's all.
Mighty.